I think this is the last time that we ever need to talk about the Jets this season.
Welcome back to the MMPod. I'm McKay. I'm once again here with Max.
What's
It's
up?
Monday night. Actually, it's Tuesday morning. We're recording at 1:40 a.m. We're committed to you guys. So NFL, man, a lot of stuff happened last week. A lot of interesting games. Let's get right into it, man. Let's talk some Chiefs, Broncos. I got one question for you, Max.
Yep.
What are the Chiefs doing in order to accomplish this ridiculous feat? Is it sorcery or what's going on?
Definitely some black magic going on. That's for sure. I mean, we're talking about the Ravens toe just barely on the edge. We're talking about that kind of egregious pass interference call against the Bengals. Missed pass interference against the Falcons. The list goes on, and then we top it off with the Chiefs going 9-0 off of a blocked field goal. A blocked 35-yard field goal. And it was a great block field goal. The guy absolutely bull rushed whoever was trying to block him. He's on his ass and blocks it, no problem. Like, you watch the play and oh, that's getting blocked. It's one of the best, the most dominant field goal blocks I've ever seen. So
Yeah, no, it wasn't close.
it
It wasn't like
was
he
like, oh,
barely
that's
tipped it.
getting
Like he
blocked.
got up both hands and
Yeah,
just smacked that thing down.
yeah. So I mean, shout out to whoever that guy was, but that was impressive. Once again, Chiefs just don't look good. The Broncos, honestly, they kind of should have handled this game in some ways. Bo Nix looked fantastic in the first half, throwing 2 touchdowns, and honestly, just kind of dissecting the Chiefs, which is a fantastic defense over there. So Bo Nix looking not again a solid performance, and then they just kind of go into a shell in the second half and just don't do much of anything. Sean Payton kind of goes pretty conservative and not much to speak on. But hey, Bo Nix still got him in position to win. And special teams is what loses you that game. That is a tough pill to swallow for the Broncos. Patrick Mahomes just not looking like Patrick Mahomes. He some I think I have just as much rapport with Xavier Worthy as Patrick Mahomes does. It's hilarious. They can't get on the same page ever. It's hilarious. He overthrows him on a deep ball every time, and this guy has the record for the 40-yard dash. It's hilarious. But overall, Chiefs barely getting another victory. Broncos got to win that one. You can't let up a blocked field goal to lose the game.
Nah, man. I mean, that's just an inexcusable way to lose. 35-yarder, like that's got to be borderline automatic. They were up 14-3 and then just couldn't get anything done. I mean, Bo Nix, 22 of 30 for 215 and 2 touchdowns. Cortland Sutton had 6 catches for 70 yards and a tutty. Bo Nix looks good, man. Broncos, I think they kind of look like a bona fide wild card team. Now, it depends on how the schedule shakes out. Bengals are chasing them 1 game behind. So that'll be interesting to see. I think they still got a game against the Chargers. They got blown out, but that will be a huge game whenever that happens. Yeah, man, what is this? I'm so tired of watching the Chiefs win. I mean, I think the number of times I've seen Taylor Swift on my screen while watching Red Zone is greater than the Chiefs' overall margin of victory. They've won by a combined 58 points, 9 games. Now, that's less than 7 points a game. You might go, well, you win every single game and you win by about 7. I don't care. I'm over it. It is the lowest margin of victory for a 9-0 team in the Super Bowl era. They are just skating by every week, and that's not me saying they're a bad team. It's me saying I'm tired of the freaking inevitability of the Chiefs. They continue to win. Every time Patrick Mahomes gets the ball, I feel like they're going to win. There's just never a point in time where I'm like, yeah, nope, the Chiefs can't win this one. And I thought it was with the Broncos. They're at 14-3, and I finally got the feeling of like, we're good. Broncos got it. They don't. The Chiefs win. They block a field goal. Man, I just needed to vent. I'm tired of the Chiefs. That's really what it is. They just win, and I'm over it. And I'm over Taylor Swift, the whole thing. Can we be done?
I'm excited, man. I'm excited for 17-0. Taylor Swift probably making an appearance at the halftime show, and it's going to be electric. But honestly, like this, I want to say it was the Steelers a couple seasons ago that were like 10-0, and everyone was like, "This is
Yeah,
the
they were
most
11-0 with
fraudulent."
Ben
Yeah,
Roethlisberger when he couldn't throw it more than like 10 yards down the field.
yeah, and everyone was like, "This is the most fraudulent 11-0 team we've ever seen." And what happens is they go like 2-5 to finish the season.
They went
Wild
0-6.
card,
They went 11-6 that year. They lost six
really.
straight to close the season. Yeah.
Still, like, yeah, just horrendous. Do I think that'll happen for the Chiefs? No. I don't think they're that level fraudulent, but man, they're not far off. It's just week after week, barely skating by. So we shall see. Big matchup that we'll talk about here next week. That may be the time that they lose, but I won't hold my breath.
Yeah. So other big games, Steelers Commanders, what a watch, man. Shout out Mike Williams. Mike Williams watch. It's my favorite segment. It's coming to you every week. I don't care if he has 0 targets. Mike Williams watch, baby. 1 reception for 32 yards and a touchdown. But it was the most important reception of the game. So Steelers win. It was a nail biter, man. I mean, that Zach Ertz play, he's just inches from that first down. I think they got the call right. I think he was short. But I mean, it's inches, and football's a game of inches. You know what they say. So, yeah, really big game for both teams, and it was close, and they both played like they wanted it.
I think you come away from this game feeling good about both teams. The Steelers that defense is top. The defensive line is just ridiculous, man. With TJ Watt on an absolute tear, and they got a couple other dudes. It's a tough front. And the Commanders honestly did one of the best jobs all season, putting up 27 on that defense, which is fantastic. And so I think you come away feeling good about both teams. Obviously, a little bit better about the Steelers, given that they won and are really going to be fighting for that AFC North division title with the Ravens here. And we'll be talking about that here in a sec as well. But Russell Wilson, man, he is looking good. It's not like the let Russ cook era necessarily. It's a lot more restricted on what he is being asked to do. But honestly, it's better. They run the football extremely well. And when he needs to make the couple throws he needs to make, he makes them. That Mike Williams throw, that was an absolute seed down the sideline. That was Russell Wilson back in his prime. That was impressive. And I mean,
Yeah, it was.
you still see, these moon balls that are 50-50 and somehow his receivers are coming back. But that George Pickens catch was just ridiculous for anyone who saw that. I don't know if you saw that one, but that's one of the best
that's
catches
insane.
all
That's
season.
one of the most
It was
ridiculous acrobatic catches that I've ever seen. Like, I was looking at that, like, it was making me think like John Morant insane layup type of just body control in the air, athleticism. It was nuts.
Yeah. George Pickens continues to be the funniest player in the NFL. His fight with Sainer after the interception just doesn't even try to tackle the guy. Immediately takes someone down just for the fun of it. And then did you see the play where he's got the ball like way out with one hand, and then he's just stiff arming a guy and hopping around as he's trying to take the ball. It's hilarious. He looks like a cartoon half the time. And he's one of the most entertaining players to watch in the league. But anyways, the Steelers honestly kind of looking like a top, I would say 18 easily in the NFL right now, just with how good their defense is and how efficient their offense has been. Russell Wilson's getting the job done. So it'll be exciting to see, especially this week, what happens, because this will be very telling.
Yeah, I mean, you want to look at Russell Wilson's stats since he's been in, he'd be 10th in yards per game, based on obviously only 3 games, so smaller sample size, but based on yards per game, he's number 10. Based on yards per attempt, he's number 3. Completion percentage-wise, it's a little bit lower, but let me see if I can find it. He's down there a little bit on completion percentage. Actually, would be number 41. He's only completing 58% of his passes. But the ones that he does complete go for a bunch of yards, and one of them went to Mike Williams. Don't know if I mentioned that. Gotta love some Mike Williams. But yeah, man, I agree. You feel good about both teams coming out of this one. Commanders, they haven't played too many great teams, so seeing them be able to put 27 up against that Steelers team who only gave up 27 one other time, and that was to the Colts at the beginning of the season, which you wonder if Justin Fields not being able to control the ball as well that game, if that kind of creates an anomaly. But yeah,
Yeah, that
great
was a
game by the
big
Commanders.
decision. It was a big decision there for Mike Tomlin to go from a younger quarterback who honestly had looked the best he'd looked in his career and who had a winning record for your team, and to go tell your locker room, look, I'm benching him, and because I think we could get better with Russell Wilson. And what a call. I mean, I think it's done. The biggest thing is they just have an identity. Like it's very clear what they're trying to do. Justin Fields was pretty erratic. They're trying to run the football. He was kind of part of it, just really scrambling. But now it's no, we're running it down your throat, and then Russell Wilson's gonna hit you over the top for at least 3-4 times a game, and that's good enough to win. So huge move by Mike Tomlin there. Just good all around for the Steelers.
Yeah, Steelers look really good, man. Commanders look good too. Great game overall just to watch. Other things to look for. Well, speaking of games that were insane to watch, Texans Lions. What was that? You're gonna lose when Jared Goff throws 5 interceptions. Not a great look for the Texans. And I mean, we were talking about it last week. Like you could have them at number 4 in your AFC power rankings. We put the Steelers there. This week certainly made me feel much better about that one. Just no one wanted to win that game. You blow a 16-point lead. It just kind of falling apart. What were you seeing in that game?
Yeah, man. I mean, Jared Goff throwing 5 picks. The first 2 were, kind of the pop up in the air. Those happen. The next 3 were just awful. And then you got C.J. Stroud throwing 2, kind of game changing picks as well. There's 7 total picks in that game, which is just ugly, ugly football. Texans get out to what was it, 23-7 lead, I believe that's what it was.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the biggest thing this speaks to is just the Lions' resiliency. We're talking about a team that's legitimately just climbed the ladder as far as getting better and better every single season. A couple seasons ago, they were the terrible team that was feisty. Then they were in the mix, to get a playoff spot. They beat the Packers, knock them out of the playoffs the last game of the season. Then last season, they go on a deep playoff run and then lose to the Niners. And now, they're top of the NFC, and you just know that they're the better team in pretty much every game that they play. So that just speaks to the climb that the Lions have had, the resiliency where you're down on a road game and you still find a way to win when your quarterback plays the worst game we've seen from him in a long time. So I think it speaks a lot on the Lions, and it does say a lot about the Texans, man. That offense just can't be consistent in any way. Without Nico Collins, they're just not much. There's not much to write home about. C.J. Stroud at times looks great, and then like for the first half, and then the second half just didn't do anything to win a game that they should have absolutely won. So entertaining game for sure.
Yeah, no Collins, no Diggs, but even when those guys were even when those guys were all playing, like still the offenses was performing below par. I think there's a good chance that the Texans end up getting that 4 seed, and then they're just kind of that shoe-in 4 seed that gets blown out by a very competitive 5 seed, like Ravens, Steelers ends up getting that 5 seed in all likelihood. I think they'll smoke the Texans. Obviously, that's looking pretty far ahead, but things to think about. And then we were talking rookie quarterbacks last week. We got to see a good example of it. Pats, Bears. Bears look awful. Pats dominate that game wire to wire. Bears were looking at trying to get a wild card spot, and now it's like you're losing to the Patriots. It's just not a great look. What were you seeing from the rookie quarterbacks in that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that the Bears just lost the Patriots. They got handled by the Patriots, which is pretty hard to do. So as far as your hopes at the playoffs, it's looking rough. And on top of that, I don't think they have their head coach stay through the end of the season at this point. Been a lot of rumors that they want him out of there anyways, and I don't know if this game's the right. They might let him finish out the season, given that we're already 10 games in. But I think it's pretty much the writing's on the wall that Eberflus will be out for the Bears. As far as rookie quarterbacks go, you got to be disappointed again if you're a Bears fan, man. Caleb Williams just doing absolutely nothing. And it's tough. Yeah, I believe both of so one tackle was out before the game, I believe, and then their other starting tackle went out like first quarter of the game. So you're already in a tough situation as far as your offensive line goes. But I mean, that's not an excuse when you look at the other side of the ball with the Patriots. They got nothing either. And Caleb Williams took 9 sacks. 9 sacks.
9? Man.
9 sacks. And I mean, it's like I said, it's tough. You're down your 2 tackles. I'm not surprised that the Patriots got, even 5, but 9 sacks. He's not decisive, man. He doesn't. As soon as there's pressure, his eyes are down. He never looks up. His eyes are down. He tries to escape. And I think what we're seeing is, yes, Caleb Williams is athletic, but not maybe quite as good at escaping as we thought he would be. 9 sacks is nuts. And then on the other side of the ball, Drake May, maybe the worst game we've seen from him. Playing probably the best defense he's seen in the Bears. The Bears have a fantastic defense, and Drake May, first half, was playing pretty erratic. He threw a horrendous interception, just linebacker right in front of him, thought he could kind of layer it over him or something, and just misjudged where he was, I guess. Threw a pretty rough pick. And then after that, settled down a little bit, started completing a few passes, threw a touchdown down in the red zone. Still, his turnover-worthy plays are just there's a lot of them, man. He is an absolute roller coaster of a quarterback, but you still grade the flashes, and he had by far the better performance compared to Caleb Williams. So if you're a Bears fan, you know for a fact he picked wrong compared to Jaden Daniels. That's a lock. And then Drake May comes in to your stadium and beats you and kind of handles it, and he didn't even play that well.
Yeah, with a much worse team, too. I mean, the Bears have a better roster than the Pats by a lot.
It's looking rough for the Caleb Williams watch. I mean, at this point, we had him at 4th, and I feel confident in that. So, yeah, that's kind of what I saw from those rookie quarterbacks. Pat's still happy. Bears not so happy.
Yeah, especially when, the Bo Nix looked really good, too. I mean, just not good. Not good in Chicago, man. Bad news in Beantown. And that's going to bring me to a new segment we are starting, and that's called These Teams Sucked. And we're just going to rant about teams that suck, and particularly sucked compared to expectations last week. We talked about the Bears. They suck. You lost to the Patriots. What in the world are we doing? Their playoff chances just dropped down to 2%, according to NFL.com. And I don't know if I'd give them that. They suck. They're going to get blown out by the Packers this week. I'm over the Bears. What team sucked for you this week?
I'm excited for this one, man. I think this is the last time that we ever need to talk about the Jets this season. And it's a fantastic feeling. Last week we said the nail is hovering above the coffin. The hammer is ready. Well, it's been nailed. They're 6 feet under. They're done. You go into Arizona, and you just get absolutely trounced by a Cardinals team that we'll talk about, I'm sure, somewhere along this podcast, who looks pretty damn good. But the Jets, they do all of this stuff in the offseason. They bring in Aaron Rodgers, or this will be the second season of Aaron Rodgers. They get Tyrone Smith. They get, I can't remember the guy from the Ravens that hopped over to the Jets, but you got supposedly 2 bookend tackles. Your defense should be the exact same. You went 7-9 last year with Zach Wilson as your quarterback, 7-10, whatever it was. You think, okay, this is going to work. What happens is you're 3-7. You fired your head coach 4 games in. You thought that was going to fix your problems. It didn't. You demote your offensive coordinator 4 or 5 games in. Thought that would solve your problems. It didn't. Trade for Devontae Adams. Thought that would solve your problems. It hasn't. So I don't know what shroom combo Aaron Rodgers is going to try to pull out to bring this team back together. A lot of retreats in the dark for sure in his future, but the Jets are done. Unfortunately, there's still only 2 games outside of the wild card, but I don't care. I don't care if they find a way to limp their way to the playoffs. It's a team that I truly don't think we need to talk about anymore. They're done. It's a failure of a season. No idea what they'll do after that. And they kind of had it coming, man. They let Aaron Rodgers just run rampant, say, "Hey, I want all my buddies to come to New York with me." Jet said, "Okay, we'll do anything to keep you here." What happens is you got the Aaron Rodgers you wanted, and it has just been not good for him. So tough if you're a Jets fan, but we don't need to talk about this team anymore. They're 6 feet under.
Oh, well, I'm going to talk about them real quick, and then we can put the final nail in the coffin. Every time I watch the Jets, I feel like they're beating up an old man. I kind of just feel bad for Aaron Rodgers. I feel like he gets hit a million times a game, and then he's just kind of looking around like, I don't know if my knee's going to survive the next one. NFL has their playoff chance at 13% still, which I think speaks more to the laws in the AFC than anything else. But yeah, I was glad to see Kyler Murray kind of put the nail in the coffin here. And yeah, let's not talk about the Jets anymore. Let's talk about other teams that sucked. My next team that sucked, it's my favorite team at all times to say they suck, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. They're terrible. Now, I'm not a big Dak believer, but my gosh, you get rid of Dak and they're just horrible. I mean, 31-6. You spent a 4th rounder on Trey Lance. Guess what? He's still bad. Cooper Rush, certainly not the answer. Mike McCarthy's probably gone. You got Micah Parsons saying he, doesn't know where Mike McCarthy's going to be. He doesn't care, which I don't think that was really the intent of his statement. That's kind of how it came off.
I think it was.
Yeah, it might have been, man. But it was bad. Cowboys suck. That always makes me happy. Whenever Stephen A. Smith drops a Twitter video talking a little bit about the Cowboys after a loss, always makes my day. Favorite part of a Monday. And then we got one more team on the list that just absolutely sucked.
Yeah, just real quick on the Cowboys. It's bad when one, your star players are saying that they expect the coach to be gone. That's not good. 2 is you got star players complaining about the lighting in the stadium with the sun being too bright, requesting that Jerry Jones puts up curtains. If that's the point that you're at in the season where you're asking the owner to make stadium modifications in order for you to win games, it's wraps. So, and it's valid too. It's completely valid. That should have 100% been a touchdown from CeeDee Lamb. He couldn't see anything. It's valid, but if that's the point that you're at, it's done. So yeah, Cowboys are done.
Yeah, you want to get us into that last team that absolutely sucked last weekend?
Yeah, what are we doing, Falcons? I mean, the Saints on a 7-game losing streak. They still have Derek Carr as their quarterback. They're shipping all their best players out because they're going to have to pull off some miracles to get under the cap next season. So Marshawn Lattimore out of there. More players on their way. They are in maybe the worst franchise situation of any team in the league. And the Falcons go in there and drop an egg. What are we doing? You lose? I guess the Saints got the interim head coach bump. They sneak one by in a divisional matchup, but there's not much to say, man. What are we doing, Falcons? You're the way better team. You had a chance to move to 7-3, which is a damn good record, and you dropped that one. What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. There's no way you should lose that game. You're letting an MVS put 2 touchdowns on you. Derek Carr did throw a freaking dot in that game.
He did.
It was pretty nuts. But there's no reason you should lose that game. Yeah, they got jumped on at the beginning. Game gets close at the end. I think they had 2 times maybe they had the ball down 17-20. Maybe it was 3, but I know they for sure had 2 possessions down 17-20. And Kirk Cousins continues to not impress me. He threw a late game pick against the Steelers that was awful. I got deja vu watching him throw that just awful pick against the Saints to lose them that game down 3. So, oh well. Falcons, they sucked. Thanks for joining us on They Sucked, guys. That was awesome. We'll bring it to you next week, too. Don't worry. Hopefully the Cowboys are on the list again. Now, let's talk about some teams that don't suck. NFC power rankings, who you got at number 1?
The Lions. Lions are 7-1. They've won in a bunch of different ways. Arguably the best offense in football, and a defense that is much improved, man. They're it's just a damn good team. You don't want to play the Lions at any point. I mean, if they're not losing with Jared Goff throwing 5 interceptions on the road, they're not going to lose that many games. So it's the Lions, I think, pretty handedly at this point.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's going to slot the Eagles in at number 2. Lions are pretty clear and obvious for me. I don't think there's too much need for discussion beyond what you already said. So Eagles at number 2 for me. Blew out the Cowboys. They're continuing to look better and better every week. Saquon continues to just look like an absolute monster. I mean, their offense is still going to be good. Like, it should – they looked a little fraudulent at the beginning of the year. It should come as a surprise to nobody that they're really good. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley. I mean, that's a good combo. Dallas Goedert, no slouch at tight end either. They've looked really good, man. What are your thoughts on Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, some people might be like, whoa, Eagles are number 2. This is still a Nick Sirianni-led team. And I don't think this has anything to do with Nick Sirianni. I think it has everything to do with their GM, Howie Roseman, assembling the Monstars, man. It's ridiculous. You got a stupid amount of talent on offense, and then you go shore up your weak point on defense with 2 first-round rookie corners. Both of them look like dogs, man. They're playing extremely well. So you look at this roster and you're like, okay, where's the hole? And there isn't one. I mean, maybe you don't like Jalen Hurts that much. Fine. He's still a top, 12-ish quarterback in the league. It's good enough, man, when you got A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Saquon, all those weapons. So, yeah, it's a team that looks better and better every single week. Just from a talent perspective, I think is starting to pop off the screen while you're watching. So, Eagles at 2.
Yeah, and then I'm going to go number 3. I'm going to go 49ers here. I mean, there's kind of a plethora of teams you can start picking once you get to number 3, in my opinion. I'm going to trust the Niners. Christian McCaffrey is back. I feel like you kind of got to see him ease into that game a little bit. I feel like he started to pop more and more as the game went on. And I expect that we continue to see that more and more. Give the 49ers their weapons. Look, they've proved it, man. They've proved it over the last few years that they're going to get it done. They win playoff games. Even when they're the 7 or 6 seed, they freaking win playoff games. And they didn't look great against Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield, by the way, one of the most insane plays I've ever seen from a quarterback. I mean, he's holding Bosa off with one arm and then throws a dot to the sideline on, I think it was 4th down.
It was.
Yeah, that's insane. But regardless, Niners get the win despite missing 3 field goals. That game should not have been that close. But that's why I got the Niners at 3.
Yeah, you just got to trust what we've seen for the past few seasons. This is a team that went to the Super Bowl twice in the past few years, and it's the same team. A big factor, I think, Ayuk goes out for the season with an ACL tear, and it's like, oh damn, maybe they won't get back to form. Ricky Pearsall, their first-round pick, he looks like a dog, man. He takes a bullet, and then now he's going out and putting up just these nasty routes and looking pretty dynamic, scoring a first touchdown this week. So even though they lost Ayuk, they still might be okay on the outside with Ricky Pearsall. So that's a huge factor for the Niners. And yeah, I still got them at 3. Number 4, this is kind of where I think debate starts. I have the Commanders at number 4, and they're 7-3 right now. Huge matchup this week against the Eagles to see who kind of takes control of that NFC East. And honestly, I think I have them at number 4 just with like how good Jaden Daniels in that offense has been. They still put up 27 against the Steelers, and it was arguably an underperformed, I guess, putting up 27 against one of the best defenses in the NFL. So honestly, I think that number 4 pick is primarily because of the Jane Daniels and the defense. Dan Quinn getting the most out of that defense. They're in a position to win the NFC East, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels in that game, 17 of 34 for 202 yards. I mean, that is just nothing spectacular compared to what he's been doing.
Probably his worst game.
Yeah, and I mean, they lost by a point to a team that's got a chance to, be a top 3 team in the AFC. So they showing good signs out there in Washington. And then number 5, man, 5 spot gets tough. I'm gonna go Packers. I want to buy into the Packers. I want to buy in. They've shown flashes of being really good, especially like that second half against the Vikings where they just dominated a team that's looked really good for the rest of the season. The Vikings beat them, but I still think the Packers are ahead of them. Jordan Love, he's not playing up to the hype that people had coming into the season, saying like there was some MVP talk, which I wasn't buying. But they look good, man, and you never want to go to Green Bay in the playoffs if for whatever reason they get a wild card team. But really, you just don't even want to go regular season. It's a place where dreams die. It's cold. But Packers have looked pretty good, and it's just a slew of teams down here, and they're my favorite of the last 3 we're going to talk about here.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Packers. Definitely Jordan Love, pretty disappointing this season, but this is kind of the same point last season where he started to turn it on and they went on a run. So we'll see if that happens again this season, but still high on the Packers. I agree they're at 5. 6, I think we got the Arizona Cardinals at 6-4. Nobody had this going into the season. This defense has almost no talent. They have an old Buda Baker at safety. I don't know who else to talk about on that defense. And look what they're doing. They held the Jets to 6 points. They're just consistently limiting teams offensively. And then you got Kyler Murray playing the best ball, I think, of his career at this point. Just dishing it to Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison, some legit weapons. And they look good. I like what I'm seeing from the Cardinals. I don't want to go too high on them yet just because, we still have doubts about the talent, but they keep proving us wrong every week. 6 wins already.
Yeah, I mean, for a defense that doesn't appear to have too much talent, they're giving up 22 points per game, so that's nothing incredible. But it's better than the Niners, better than the Texans and the Falcons, and those are better than the Ravens. So and the Bucks. Like these are all some playoff caliber teams or playoff borderline caliber teams. And no one thought they were going to be hanging their hat on their defense this year. You look at them offensively, and they're putting up 24 points per game. So that average margin is pretty slim, but at 6-4, not too bad. And I think they've shown increased. Like it seems less fluky every week to me. The Rams game, the 49ers game seemed kind of fluky, and then they beat the Chargers, and you're like, is this really a fluke? And then they go and they beat the Dolphins, and you're like, And that's the Tua Dolphins, right? That's much more impressive than beating like the Skylar Thompson or Tyler Huntley Dolphins. And so and then they smoke the Jets when the Jets are like we talked about last week. I think the Jets kind of had it all on the line last week. They go to 4-6, they're all right. 3-7 is just you're done. And they blew them out. It wasn't close. The only bad thing that happened is Kyler Murray's helmet flying about 15 yards off of his head. So. Yeah, man. Great looks from the Cardinals there. And if they continue this, I mean, like they got a really good shot to win the NFC West.
And it's all like divisional games left. Their schedule: at Hawks, at the Vikings, home against the Seahawks, home against the Patriots, at the Panthers, at the Rams, home against the Niners. So it's like all divisional games plus some scrubs at the bottom there with the Pats and Panthers. So yeah, man, they got a legit shot at winning the NFC West. We said we didn't think they were going to do it last week. Yeah, we got to talk about them doing it now.
Yeah, and that's going to bring me to my number 7 team, and that's going to be the Vikings. Is Sam Darnold of old coming back? And that's a major level of concern. 3 red zone picks against the Jags is just unacceptable. 12-7. They won the game with no touchdowns. They did outgain them. I think they more than doubled them up in yards. They had more plays in Jaguars territory than the Jaguars won the entire time. So Sam Darnold owes his entire defense his paycheck for that game because he was abysmal. But I feel like we saw a lot of just kind of terrible interceptions last week. It was really weird. But still, 7-2. They got to win against the Packers. Sneaky. I mean, if you're looking ahead on the schedule, they got the Cardinals. Not this week, but next week. And that's going to be a big one. That'll be big in determining seeding and tiebreakers and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. Now the Vikings. I know there's 7-2 right now. Why are they not higher? It's Sam Darnold, man. He looks like he is slowly devolving back into the Sam Darnold of old, and so yeah, put the Vikings at 7. It's kind of crazy. They're 7-2. You still love what the defense is doing. You still love the weapons that they have. But if I have to
Yep.
bet on Sam Darnold, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, they came out of the gate swinging, right? So if you go over their schedule, blow out the Giants 28-6, beat the Niners, which looks like a really quality win. And I mean, we'll see as the Niners progress how much weight you really want to put into it. Blow out the Texans, which that was when you're like, holy smokes, the Vikings are here, man. Like they're for real. Beat the Packers, almost give a big comeback. That game's close. They win by 2. Play the Jets, they win by 6. Not that impressive of a win, really. I mean, the Patriots beat the Jets. Like, what are we talking about right now? And then you lose to the Lions. It's close, so obviously that's respectable. You lose by 10 to the Rams. You beat the Colts by 8. You beat the Jags by 5. For me, it's really just they're trending down, and that's why I have them at 7 and not higher compared to their record. And I think you kind of voicing the same stuff there. And so now that we've reviewed last week, let's get into next week, man. There are some absolute heaters on the schedule. There's six games that I'm really excited about. First is going to be our Thursday night football game. Commanders are at the Eagles. The Eagles are going to be 3.5-point favorites. Who you got in this one, Max?
This is a brutal one, man. We have the Eagles as the number 2 team in the NFC in our power rankings. They're at home, so I'm gonna stick with it. I think the Eagles win in a close game. I think we get a better version of Jaden Daniels this week, but I think the talent on the Eagles is just too much for the Commanders to overcome, and I think the Eagles take it. I kind of like them to cover the 3.5-point spread, and the NFL has been just so much better with these primetime Thursday night games. I swear last year it was like, oh, here
It was
comes
brutal,
the
man.
Panthers Patriots for an electric Thursday night, and
Do you
we've
remember
had some
Broncos
heaters.
Colts? It
Oof.
was like
Yeah,
12-9
that's right.
or something insane. It was
Yeah,
just ugly.
so much better this year as far as scheduling those games go. So yeah, should be a good one. Give me the Eagles, but this has huge impact as far as who wins the NFC East. So must watch.
Yeah, Eagles offense starting to show some signs of life after struggling early. I think it was like last week they had their first quarter touchdown of the season, which is kind of insane,
That is
considering they're
insane.
7-2. But I like the Eagles 28-24 in this one. I think the score gets ran up a little bit. The over/under is 49. I would take the over, and that would be my bet on this game. 3.5 is just like the Commanders can make this game close. But Philly at home. I think you stick with the Eagles here, man. They don't lose in Philly, prime time, and they're trending upwards, right? Like we said, Eagles at 2, Commanders at 4, and Eagles got the home one. So that's what I got going on there. Next game, we got Ravens, 3-point favorites. They're going to the Steelers. Another massive divisional game.
I don't want to touch this one, man. From a betting's perspective, run as far away as you can. I have no idea. The Ravens, some weeks look like the best team in the league. Some weeks they don't. I think they've consistently probably looked on the better side. The Steelers are just kind of quietly one of the best teams in the league, and it has huge impacts as far as who's going to win the AFC North. This is the first of their matchups, so they'll have another one, but still, to get that lead is huge. As far as who wins this one, I think I lean Ravens just because of how good Lamar Jackson has been. Um, but man, if you tell me the Steelers win, that would not surprise me whatsoever. Do you have any takes on this game?
Yeah, once again, I love the over here, man. Now be warned, it's an AFC North game in the
Yeah,
morning,
you sure
and
you like
you
the
never know.
sure you like the
And
over?
I'm gonna go. I do. I think just if you look at the Steelers Commanders game from last week as kind of a script, the Ravens are giving up like
Yeah,
Ravens defense is not that great, and I think Lamar's just so dynamic that he's gonna be able to put up a lot of points. I mean, we saw 55 in the game last week. Your over under here is 47.5. So that gives you like 7 points of wiggle room if you're looking at that game as a format. I think it goes pretty similarly. Man, I always take the AFC home North team. Um, I mean, you saw it. Browns beat the Bengals. I mean, obviously cherry picking a little bit there, but I just feel like AFC North teams at home always win. But Lamar Jackson is the best player in the NFL. He just is. I got the Ravens winning this one 27-24. Ravens are 3-point favorites. That'd be a push on the spread. I really like the over in this game. But give me the Ravens, but man, I'm not surprised either way, whoever wins this game.
yeah, and that leads into third game here. Maybe not quite as impactful, but the Seahawks are still technically in the race for the NFC West. They are 2 games behind the Cardinals right now. Do they still play them twice? Is that right?
Yep, still got to play them twice.
Still got to play them twice. The NFC West is just so close. So Seahawks at 49ers. Last time 49ers absolutely blew the doors off this Seahawks team that has been really struggling as of late. 1-5 in their last 6, but got a bye this week, so hopefully that helps them out. We shall see. I like the 49ers to cover the 6.5-point spread. I think they run away with it. I think the signs we saw from Christian McCaffrey and how he impacts that offense were quite positive for the Niners, as well as the emergence of Ricky Pearsall. So give me the Niners to cover and kind of knock the Seahawks out of NFC West contention here and starting to knock them out of the NFC playoff in general.
Yeah, I think if the Hawks don't win the NFC West, they're probably not making it in. The Packers are at 6-3, so they're 1.5 games behind the Cardinals. They're 2 games behind the Packers. If you look at the history of the 49ers Seahawks, I mean, it used to be a rivalry, and lately it's not. Lately, it's feeling like it's not as much a rivalry, and that's coming from a Seahawks fan, man. Love them, but you want to look at the history of these games. The Niners have won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row now. And they've covered that 6.5 every time. The closest that a game has been is 8. And then every game other than that is 12 or more. I mean, they've just been blowing the doors off them. So 6.5, that's my favorite line of the week as a Seahawks fan. So kind of sad that I have to say that. I really would like to go with a homer pick here. But if you're going based on trends, man, Niners trending up, Seahawks trending down, the history of the series leans the Niners. I got the Niners taking care of business 30-17 here.
Yeah, I
Next,
agree with you.
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so next game, maybe one of the weirdest matchups, just one that you just don't see that often. Falcons head into Denver to take on Bo Nix. The Broncos are 2.5-point favorites, most likely based off of last week with the Falcons losing to the Saints and the Broncos barely losing to the Chiefs. So that's as well as they're at home. So that's kind of where that line probably comes from there. Very even matchup though here. I think I honestly lean Broncos just because of how good their defense is. And I think they're going to give Kirk Cousins some headaches. And if you can do that, well, Kirk Cousins is bound to throw some picks. So I like the Broncos. Bo Nix is playing efficient football. Their defense is playing lights out. And the Falcons, it'll be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons win this one, but give me the Broncos to cover that spread at home.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I got the Broncos winning this game 23-17. I just think the Broncos have shown positive things the last couple of weeks. Falcons, I mean, they've shown highs, they've shown lows. I mean, it's
Just a
been
lot of
kind of a
variability.
crapshoot. Been a big crapshoot from the Falcons. They're going from the comfort of the dome to the cold altitude of Denver. I think that could possibly play a factor. And I think the Broncos are fired up after losing that game. I mean, you really wanted that one. The Falcons might be too, but give me the Broncos, man. I think they're just the better team in my opinion. They've been playing better of recent, and they're at home. I think they get that win by 6. And then, man, I want to say game of the week, but
Here we
every
go.
game on this slate feels like freaking game of the week, man. Chiefs at Bills. Is this finally the time where the Chiefs fall?
You would hope. I don't know if I'm holding my breath for it though. Why would I think that they would fall? They're at the Bills, and the Bills are a better football team, in my opinion. But the Chiefs absolutely own the Bills, and they have ever since the Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen rivalry has existed. So I like the Chiefs. The Bills are 2.5 point favorites, but give me the Chiefs as road dogs, money line, because the history of that matchup just always leans Chiefs, and we've seen the amount of black magic the Chiefs have been pulling off all season. Why would it change now?
Yeah, with the ridiculousness that the Chiefs have been doing, man, it's just I'm gonna try and make some money off of it this week. I got Chiefs as one of my dogs of the week, 2.5 point underdogs. I got them winning 27-24 at the Bills. It's not as much of a game analysis as it is just like, all right, they're just gonna keep winning, I guess. Like I'm giving in. And then uh, weird matchup, really important in the AFC, especially the wild card race here. Bengals at Chargers. The Bengals are 4-6. Chargers, I believe, 6-4. But it's pretty important here for the wild card. Bengals, if they lose this game, the road to the playoffs looks a lot tougher, and then they lose that tiebreaker with the Chargers. Chargers are a 1 point favorite, and this is going to be on Monday night. So great way to close the week. How are you seeing this one playing out?
Kind of like the Chargers, man. It's hardball football. They play phenomenal defense, and I think that they will be able to limit Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I don't think we see whatever it was 90 point battery from the Joe Burrow Jamar Chase fantasy lineup. I don't think we see that this week. I think the Chargers are very very sound on defense, and Herbert is playing lights out, man. I They don't have that much talent as far as like weapons go, but he's dishing it to everybody. He's playing at a very high level given the talent around him. And I think that's enough to get it done. I think the Chargers just go classic Harbaugh. They play phenomenal defense. They score 20-ish something points, hold the Bengals to like 10-17, and they win it.
Yeah, Chargers top 10 defense. I don't Harbaugh, if you're looking for kind of outside the box nuggets, um, when he was at Michigan, he took he did a good job taking Ohio State out once he kind of figured out that offense, changed up the scheme a little bit of just airing it out to just highly talented receivers. Not that the Bengals exactly play that style, but they kind of got some of the same dudes. Like, how can you take away those big play guys? Same thing with Washington last year in the national championship. So I trust Jim Harbaugh to drop a good scheme here defensively. And I think the Chargers cover that one. I mean, one, obviously not a big spread, so I'm going to pick them to win. I got it 19-22. I think Chargers kick a field goal late with maybe like 2 minutes left, and I think the Bengals get the ball, can't do anything, and the game's going to end there. So I like the Chargers on Monday night to get a big win, kind of push the Bengals into pretty close to the rear view in terms of the playoff picture this year.
Yeah, must win for the Bengals. Chargers don't necessarily have to win it. They're in a pretty good spot as far as the wild card goes, but definitely a must win for the Bengals and a good one for the Chargers if they want. I don't know if they really have a shot to win the AFC West. They're pretty far back on the Chiefs, given that the Chiefs are undefeated. But to get firm control of a wild card position, they definitely need this one.
Yeah, I like the under on this game too. Over-under is 47. I
Yeah, I
see it
like the
being a little
under.
bit lower than that. I like the under on that one. Other lines that I'm really liking this week from games we didn't talk about. Vikings -6 at the Titans. The Titans just lose, and they lose by a lot. And even though Vikings are trending down, Sam Darnold might throw a red zone interception next week, and he might throw 2. I don't think he's going to throw 3 again. And if he doesn't throw 3, they should be able to cover that 6. Vikings just haven't shown that many signs of life. Their 10-point loss to the Chargers looks better than it was last week. They went up 7-3 and then just got dominated the rest of the way. They had a garbage time touchdown to make that a 10-point game, but it really wasn't even that close. So I think the Vikings take care of business on that one.
If you need a get-right game, the Titans is a pretty good place to try to get that done. I like them to cover that -6 as well, just from the fact that they're a lot better than the Titans. But we shall see. They didn't cover that against the Jaguars, the Mac Jones Jaguars. So we shall see.
Yeah.
Another one that is definitely worth noting is the Colts as road dogs, I believe, against the New York Jets. Yes. If you have been betting against the Jets all season, you have made a lot of money. The Jets just don't win. They're not good. We already talked about it. Why not pick the Colts here?
Man, you said you weren't talking about the Jets anymore, dude. Now you're bringing them up again.
True, I am bringing them up again, but it's to say that they're going to lose. So I feel like it's in the right vibe to talk about the Jets. It's okay to bet against them, and the Colts don't look good, but I think they look a little bit better than the Jets. So I kind of like the Colts to win that one.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think at plus 150, your value is there. I mean, you want to say Aaron Rodgers, like at some point they're going to turn around, and I've thought that every week, and they continue to not turn it around. So at some point, you just got to go with how it's going. Colts trending down, Jets trending down, but you're getting plus 150. Not something I would put in a parlay
No.
as an odds booster by any stretch. But if you want to straight bet that, I think that's going to give you good value at plus 150. Another line that I like this week is Detroit -13.
Another
Big
get right
spread.
game.
Big spread. They're hosting the Jaguars. Jared Goff's not throwing 5 picks again. I mean, the Jaguars looked like garbage, absolute garbage against the Vikings. Sam Darnold, if he was wearing wearing black and white, dude, they'd probably pay him a lot of money the way he was throwing to the Jaguars. So it just big spread. Lines blow them out. I don't think it's close. They might cover the spread in the first half. Lines -6.5 in the first half is freaking free money, if you're asking me.
Yeah, I agree. As far as any of the lines, I don't know if I'm seeing too many. I would say the Patriots as 5-point dogs at home against the Rams might be one to look at. The Patriots, they're not a great football team by any means, but man, after what we saw from the Rams tonight, getting handled by the Dolphins, there's no reason not to believe that the roller coaster Drake May and a good Patriot defense can't cover 5 points against the Rams. So I maybe took a look at that one. Not a very impactful game, but one to think about.
Yeah, man. You got any other lines you like this week?
I don't believe so.
Cool. Well, just want to give you guys a couple pod updates real quick. We do want to do a Monday mailbag given the opportunity. So if you guys have anything you want us to talk about, go ahead and you can email us at mmsportspod@gmail.com. You can leave a comment down in the Spotify. We'd be happy to reply. And then we are looking to try and start uploading, to YouTube and to Apple Podcasts. That's kind of in the works. We're just getting started here, but any feedback, anything you guys got for us, love to hear it, and we always appreciate you listening.
Yeah, I really appreciate all you guys listening. The feedback's been great. Hopefully these 2 episodes were maybe a little smoother. We're a work in progress. Bear with us, but thank y'all for listening.
Yeah, appreciate it, and y'all go make some money this weekend.